Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Pinball Arcade. I managed to mash a button and get to the credits settings and options here. And while I was sitting at the screen, I realized that there are some pencil drawings, look like patent images of pinball that are kind of interesting, but I guess they've been in the background this whole time. Wow, I haven't even paid attention. Yeah, apparently in the background this picture has been fading in and out, and I've just not been paying any attention to it at all. Interesting. Well, last time we played Judge Dredd, not the best table ever, but definitely in the top 30. A fairly easy table, too. And sometimes easy comes with being one note, and that was one of the things that I feel like that table had for problems, but overall, a very good table. Today we're looking at Last Action Hero, which is probably a much more recognizable license than the 2000 AD Judge Dredd comic. This would be, I suppose, the second Arnold Schwarzenegger movie to be licensed, although it is also still worth mentioning that Judge Dredd also says, I'll be back, stealing that line. And I believe the Judge Dredd original movie was supposed to star Arnold Schwarzenegger. So we're up to 1993.
I'll be back.
Now, the big problem with Terminator 2 was it was the entire table just screamed ego of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He voiced every single line in the game. It really turned Terminator 2 as a movie around in a way that you really were only focusing on the T800 character and completely, nearly completely ignores the T1000 and John Connor and uh, Sarah Connor as characters, which those are also important characters in the movies. Um, Last Action Hero 1993. Did somebody say action? This action packed pinball harbors the license from the summer blockbuster hit movie of the same name. The table feature filled design was created by Tim Seckel. That sounds like a new name. Joe Kaminkow, Ed Cebulia, and John Borg. Do you really need four people to work on one pinball table? Is that how fast they had to work on this table to get it out into arcades at the same time that the Last Action Hero movie came out? Also, I don't think it's wrong to say that the Last Action Hero movie was not particularly a summer blockbuster of any real relevance by 2021 standards. Nobody thinks of that movie pretty much at all amongst the large selection of Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. This game completely captures the intensity, comedic tones, and cast of characters from the film. Notable playfield sections include the motorized super crane, game controlled magnets, which activate during multiball events, and the Ripper Lane, which accelerates the ball on returns, and the Smart Missile button above the slick back colored gun shaped launcher. 5,505 of units of these tables were produced. I don't get the 5. Uh, I feel like when you have the numbers not rounded off like that, it highlights either they planned on making more and then there were just some duds that got rejected before they left the factory, or they had not even begun to think of the concept of of limited editions of tables, um, which doesn't make a lot of sense because I feel like arcade games from the beginning were having very specific numbers of arcade cabinets that they were willing to make, at least in the first run. So you have a gun shaped thing, and there definitely were some other instances where a gun shaped launcher felt like something that uh, should have been there, and I figured they just didn't want to go down that route and potentially have a gun shown, but I guess Arnold Schwarzenegger's pool seemed to overset that. And then you have a fake plunger being depicted here, or the top of a gun being depicted here, I suppose. And then a bunch of lights to light. And then you have a blonde girl and some other characters. I have literally no idea who these characters are going to be. And then I feel like all I remember of Last Action Hero was that Arnold Schwarzenegger was this fictional action hero that ended up jumping through to different movies with a blonde kid. So the blonde girl, I don't even know who she is, but I would say with the cut off shorts and protruding shading that looks like they're emphasizing nipples on her, she's probably there to sell on sex. Although arguably this one is more built around the idea of selling on action and violence. There's this red-headed guy that I guess he's the bad guy for most of the movie. I vaguely recall that. You know, you have a magical ticket that I think lets them jump through it. This might be the first instance of seeing an African American character in the artwork on the table, which I guess that is slightly progressive. Interesting, the LCD just said, please don't drink and drive. So now they're doing both anti-alcohol and anti-drugs promotions. This is a cat in a detective outfit, which, yeah, that's weird. I guess that would have been a cartoon section. And here's a dinosaur. Got some top lanes that you can barely see. Let's see, there's a loop up here that I think hits the crane and gets it up into the crane, or it loops up to the top lane. I think the crane actually only catches the ball here at this point. And then this locks the ball, I suspect. And then it must rotate at this angle to get the ball to fall back down there, but that doesn't really make sense. So where would it rotate? It can't rotate and hit that. Maybe it just rotates in general and makes the balls fall down that way, because this toy doesn't seem like it goes anywhere at all. So yeah, we'll have to figure out where the ball goes. This looks like this might be a slightly wider ramp than normal that loops back around, so you end up in the left lane. You potentially shoot this ramp that gets you up the crane. Maybe. No, this is a captive ball, so that doesn't get you up the ramp. Some standing vertical targets, almost completely vertical. They're slightly slanted. And then a mystery sinkhole. Yeah, you're going to have a real hard time hitting those standing targets. And then here you have drop down targets. And then here you have another captive ball. And I think 2 captive balls is too much, frankly. 2 different places for 2 different captive balls. It does seem like the center lane shot here is mostly focused around either hitting the spinner and getting to the bumpers. So there's a couple different ways to get to the bumpers. Or if you miss, you're going to end up launching down these sinkholes, which that's good, because then the ball won't bounce back down the center lane, or at least theoretically it won't. Is that a center peg? No center peg. Is there a kickback? Doesn't seem like it. Yeah. Well, we'll have to see how far this goes. I don't know what gets the ball up here. I guess maybe the crane swings all the way over here, makes the ball roll down this way, and then it rolls into this in lane for the multiball. So what would the skill shot be then? I think it's probably hitting that or hitting one of these blinking standing targets. It's a fairly visually busy artwork table, but the lower playfield is mostly empty and the upper playfield and mid playfield is mostly empty, so it is hardly as terribly cluttered as, say, Judge Dredd, where Judge Dredd had a lot of stuff going on, for sure. And then, if we look here, we're getting basic photorealistic imagery of the characters. And there's a picture of a character that I think is supposed to be the T8100, but I don't think the last section here actually does make a reference to him. This does look like a much more photorealistic image of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then here you have the girl with a gun, and I'm gonna still call her a girl because she does look like she's a teenager at most. And then you've got a police siren at the top, which I don't know if that really is necessary. How many different times do we have Arnold Schwarzenegger on this image? 1, 2, 3. So exactly like Terminator 2. 3 different times his face is depicted. And then how many different times do we have him on the table? There's 1. There's 2. Well, it might be a little bit more conservative here. It may just be a couple times that we see him on the table. And so they're much more willing to show other characters. We'll just have to see. Nope, there's a 3. I don't know when you would be able to use the smart missile and what it would be used for. Let's see what the flyer tells us. So, yeah. Last Action Hero, picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger swinging on a helicopter with explosions behind him and holding the kid. A very yellow and black theme for the table. But the backside of this flyer is pretty decent as far as showing off elements of the game. So our standard goals are to complete a skill shot, start Pinball, which maybe that means Multiball, earn a wild card, collect a Ripper bounty, and find Benedict, who I assume is the bad guy. So let's jump in here and start playing. Interesting that the crane is moving. It's moving. Like, it's funny that the crane moved to a different position when we started the game. Alright. There's basically nothing on the table blinking to start, with the exception of the super missile, which that is too bright for that to be blinking the whole time. A table like this could easily have a lot of annoying noise. But so far, at least we've heard some other lines by other voice actors. Let's see. So I'm not really sure what I'm trying to do right now. I guess because the crane was out of the way, that means if I had shot that ramp, the ball wouldn't have locked. Wow. 4-ball, multi-ball, immediately. There, I just earned a wild card.
Have a nice day.
There, I just got the Ripper bounty.
Here's another exposure for your movie, kid. Come back
And see, this is the reason why Judge Dredd was so easy to get achievement, the goals done too, is because if you're playing a multi-ball and everything is mostly accessible in the multi-ball, then things work fairly easily.
Next one I'll drug.
There, I just used the crane to move one ball. See, there is a magnet under the center of the table. I can feel it messing with the table, and I don't like that at all. I don't see a reason for that to exist.
Let's play chicken. Here's another exposure for your movie, kid.
So it's telling me to play chicken. I would say the audio does feel very mono. Like it doesn't feel like it's balanced quite right. There's the start of Pinball, which I assume is multi-ball. A 3-ball multi-ball, different than the 4-ball multi-ball we had before. Yeah, that magnet literally just screwed me.
Next one I'll drug.
It grabbed the ball and sent it down the center lane.
For your movie, kid.
So yeah, the chicken shot seems to be what we're trying to hit. And the ramp on the right seems to be what we're trying to hit. Otherwise, you really don't have a lot blinking. So, unless this is one of those tables where you just need to get the ramp shots quite a bit, then I have no idea what I'm aiming for or shooting. There was another instance of the physics of the table just completely breaking down and glitching. We're starting to see a reoccurring theme here of like 6-ball multi-ball, 8-ball multi-ball. And I'm gonna launch the missile while I do that, just so we can see what launching the missile does. So apparently launching a missile launches another ball, but we've also seemingly locked one ball. Maybe we did it at like the absolute worst time. So there's a ball up in the top left there that the crane released that I didn't get to play. So that seems like really crazy that I would have been able to find the one place you shoot the missile and it glitches. It glitches the game. But I think that's exactly what I just did. Skill shot and find Benedict. So let's figure out how to find Benedict. When the feature is flashing, shoot the lit thing to activate it. This feature starts a 20-second timer. First time the left captive ball is hit while find Benedict timer is active, the timer is reset to 20 times. When activated, this model lights the left scoop and the center scoop and the right scoop. I guess that's what they really are. It's not sink targets, but sinkholes. They're basically the same. The goal of this feature is to shoot the correct scoop to find Benedict randomly hidden in one. Okay. Well then, that's all I really need to know. So, it really is just going to be a matter of timing on the skill shot. I think we're kind of back to some weaker paddles. Like, it doesn't feel like it's super easy to get the ball up, and the out lanes seem to be a little bit too wide. There's a skill shot. So I guess the question becomes, how do we start the Find Benedict section? This is one of those tables where the ball can go up and down the table quite a bit, but may not actually accomplish anything. There, I got an extra ball, and that's not even something that you needed to do for the standard goals. In all fairness, though, I would say them having Lieutenant Decker there, he is just playing kind of a stereotypical character that is very in line with the time that this movie will come out, where it's the exacerbated, frustrated African American boss blowing a fuse and yelling at people, which isn't very much different from the white guy boss who's exacerbated and blowing the fuse.
Let's play chicken. Here's another explosion for your movie, kid.
Yeah. I'm probably gonna run out of things to say fairly quickly here. See, this table, as it is, immediately fails the test because I can't really endorse a table that has a magnet in the center of the table and is going to try and grab the ball and pull the ball, slow it down so it falls down the center lane.
Here's another explosion for your movie, kid. Have a nice day.
Particularly when I'm hitting sinkholes that are actually recharging the magnet. Arguably, the concept of Last Action Hero as a movie, I don't know if this really has any effect on the pinball table, but it kind of does. Last Action Hero would make much more sense as a miniseries or as a TV series, not a single movie where you're jumping through, where the narrative has the characters jumping through several different movies or stereotypes of movies. And honestly, that probably means that a Last Action Hero beat-em-up video game in the arcade would make a lot more sense, where different levels existed with different enemies. Pinball can only translate something into a short minute or two mode, where a arcade game can take it a lot further. Pinball has worked best, I think, when it has just moderately simplistic concepts that it is expanded into a table. The Getaway, for instance, High Speed 1 and 2, that's literally an action scene of just a car chase for a movie. So they made two complete pinball tables, two very good complete pinball tables, around the concept of a high-speed car chase alone, where this table potentially could have a high-speed car chase, and several other scenes based on the movie. I'm not sure if there was a car chase in Last Action Hero. The movie is basically irrelevant.
To be or not to be. And him is taking out the thread. Not to be.
I'm gonna have to learn to use the missile
I'll be back.
way better. Like, the second it looks like I'm gonna die, I need to use the missile and bring the game back into play. Which, if you do that...
Let's play chicken.
The smart missile didn't launch a ball then, though. So I don't understand what the smart missile really does. I thought it did last time. There definitely are some lines of dialogue here that I'm missing. Like, it says, will Jack Slater lose? And it's just saying that on the screen visually instead of having that really happen or be said, and that definitely would have probably been spoken out loud in the movie. Maybe it's just a case of that line would get repeated a lot. It's really easy to end up in that right slingshot hole, whatever, sinkhole, scoop, I guess is what it's called. Now all the lights are blinking and that's visually distracting. That's too much. Maybe my eyes are just not adjusted to it, but it does seem like they've kind of crossed the line. At this point, there's just too many blinking lights. Particularly since I don't know what half of them mean or do. I'm a little surprised that there aren't more blinking lights directly behind Arnold Schwarzenegger. This mode seems to be harder to start than it would seem like, the Where's Benedict mode. It's not something that locks out, I think, when you start a different mode, but maybe it does. We have the top lane up there at the top, but I'm not sure that that actually increases a table modifier, or if it just spells Ripper or something. Alright, so let's double check what we're supposed to do here. When this feature is flashing, shoot it to the left to activate it. The feature starts. So how do you start the feature? That's the part they're not explaining. So yeah, there's just like no explanation there as to how do you start the feature. So what's the point of the missile shot? Smart missile. I shot the smart missile. It seemed to not do anything.
Next one on truck.
So, is there a specific point where we'll see something that makes sense to be shot with a smart missile once per turn?
Let's play chicken.
Yeah, I just don't like the audio here. You know what? This isn't a table where we should turn on the music and see if it's messed up, because that might be the case. Come to think of it, but if there is some form of music or something that's playing through the menu music, it would be in addition to everything we're hearing already.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, there's a lot of noise, a lot of screaming on this table, a lot of gunshots. And in an arcade, probably are going to have a lot of games that make noise and gunshots anyways, but this would just be one that adds to that mess. I feel like it's also worth mentioning that pretty much all the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, like Last Action Hero and Terminator 2, are kind of rated R, but they were in a time released in theaters where people didn't think R was as bad, and PG-13 wasn't as commonly used. Whereas nowadays, a hard R action movie would indicate it is completely unacceptable for people under like 16.
Let's play chicken.
So, yeah, a lot of kids would have seen The Last Action Hero, I'm sure, particularly since it has a kid in it.
Let's play chicken.
And people can easily forget that these movies were as bad as they were, which wasn't really even that bad. Arnold, the Schwarzenegger movies, and because a lot of people have been watching these movies only on cable TV edits or over-the-air TV edits, which would then further censor versions of the movies. See, he says like 2 different catchphrases. This really long match game.
I'll be back.
Alright, well, let's first go to options. Sound menu. There is different music playing. Smart missiles should be saved for specific events. If in-ball is lit for left scoop, smart missile can be used as last-ditch ball saver. It has to be activated before the outline rollover is hit or the ball enters the drain to work. Another good use for smart missile is in the Last Action Hero feature. If the multiple sequences have already been completed, the point value the smart missile will award can be lucrative, in addition to an extra 10 seconds on the timer in the World Premiere Event Awards. Another good use is in Multiball. It is usually a waste to use smart missile to collect the jackpot, but when the 4 or 5 million targets are lit. Smart missile scores 20 million and will complete 4 shots needed for the next jackpot. Let's see. If you have multiple features running at once. Smart missile. Okay. How do you turn off the magnets? The playfield magnets can be very dangerous, sending the balls to the out lanes or straight down the middle. They are active in all multi-ball modes. If you can, catch and cradle the balls with the flippers to keep the balls from hitting the playfield for 5 seconds. This turns off the playfield magnets until a switch is hit, allowing you a clean shot. Yeah, so that you can only temporarily turn it down. Yeah, it does. The audio still sounds weird, like it's not encoded well. But I do think turning up the menu music did make some improvements. Although the fact that the menu music was overlapping 2 different music things is kind of ridiculous. I need to figure out if I can hit these standing targets on the right. That's in-ball ready. So, question is, that got me like 44 million, I think, using the smart missile there. So that was a decent point to use it, although that is also just a huge distraction to make you press another button. We've seen this on other tables too, where they want you to use the like High Speed 2 has the shifter element, and as much as I kind of like it in theory, I kind of hate it in practicality. We're taking your hands off the flipper buttons potentially to use a shifter to shift up and down. There literally are only 2 hands, and so you can only really hit 2 buttons, or you could put more buttons where the pinball buttons are, and you could have a second or third button if you wanted. Like, that would work. I suppose there is a slight difference between playing pinball and playing most video games, where a lot of video game playing is pressing things with your thumbs, and a lot of pinball is definitely not that. You're pressing things with your pointer fingers, or your middle fingers if you wanted to use them on the flipper buttons. See, I got like 100 million there, which that feels fairly earned. But I'm not getting on the high scoreboard with 100 million even. So I must need to score a lot higher for this table. Having those 2 captive balls and having hit them multiple times, the requirements to get that to work seem too high. This table really leaves it, this game really leaves it in such a way that you're really only trying to hit 3, maybe 4 targets.
Have a nice day.
And there's just no good ramp on this one, because even if I got really, really good at hitting
Here's another exposure
the
for you
top
movie
left
kids.
ramp, it would take too long for the ball to go all the way around for me to make another shot for that to feel good. And I can basically not hit the top right ramp because it's just so far away. This is one of those tables where I would bring a lot of these ramps down lower, adjust the slope, make him more likely to hit and actually succeed. Right now we've got that scenario where a bunch of times I'm shooting the ball up and it's basically hitting nothing and then just falling back down. And for a game with action in the name, that's not good action.
Let's play chicken.
There's so much noise that plays on this table, I wouldn't even be able to tell you if the female character has a line of dialogue or not, or if the kid has a line of dialogue or not. I think the answer is probably no. It seems like we've got a couple of sound effects from Arnold and some other characters, and that's it.
Have a nice day.
And clearly this is still very much an ego thing where Arnold with his one-liners is getting played a lot more.
Ready.
There I got a double jackpot, which is not something I was even aiming for, but that super missile basically saved the day and restarted this ridiculous multi-ball. We've seen too many tables with the ridiculous 5-6 multi-balls going on. And I imagine it's the kind of a case that every company wanted to try it at least a couple of times in competing with each other. It really is one of those scenarios where would you do it if all your friends jumped off a bridge? Would you? The answer to that in pinball is yes. Absolutely. If all my friends jumped off a bridge, I would also. The table designers would also do the same thing. And arguably, maybe they did, and that's why there aren't too many pinball table companies out there. I finally start the Find Bennett mode, and then I don't succeed at it. I've been playing this table for 44 minutes. It feels like it's been just 20 minutes.
I'll be back.
So I guess the trick, while you still have that standard goal, is to probably not use the super missile until you start Find Bennett, and then use the super missile and see if that triggers finding Bennett. But there are so many different things going on that just triggering the Find Bennett mode itself is unlikely to happen. It doesn't feel like getting a skill shot at the beginning of the table starts a mode. It doesn't really feel like there is a video mode. So we're kind of in a position where it seems like the idea of video modes was abandoned quickly after it was first introduced, but I know that's not the truth of the scenario because much later tables will have video modes. It would be nice if you could just select what mode you want to start, which we've yet to see a table that lets you do that, but we will see that eventually. Yep. This is just another one of those tables where the devil is in the details, and so it's not really one I'd really want to play too much. I'd put it on the average count. Like it feels like an average table, but it still has some flaws. A lot of tables like this could be improved. Center pegs, kickbacks, ball savers, same old I always mention. Maybe bring in the right standing targets by quite a bit instead of having them almost completely inaccessible in the mid right of the table. And reduce the number of ramps a little bit. Try to have a bigger separation between the upper playfield sections and the middle and lower playfield sections, so it really feels like you are getting into a larger secondary area when you get the ball to the upper part of the table. Make it just easier to start a mission or select missions or both. It seems like we only start missions on the left side of those missions also, so I don't know what the lights on the right side are all about. There's a ridiculous amount of noise that this table makes. That it really feels like it is just making random noises and not a consistent narrative sound. It feels like this table is just booming bass too to get people's attention. And all I'm getting is comeback laters.
You saved my fur plenty of time. Here's another explosion for your movie, kid.
Just trying so hard to not lose the ball, and that's exactly what's gonna happen. Just trying so hard to start the dumb mission. See, that was a skill shot, so why did that skill shot not start a new mode and just jump us into playing something? Oh, the right blue is blinking. Now it's the left white one is blinking, but I'm not really sure if it's not just the bumpers that are changing that or the slingshots. Yeah, this definitely just feels like another one of these tables where you're gonna have to get really good at really good at one specific shot. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do anything. And that is the exact center lane shot that I'm missing a ton of. At a certain level, I kind of would prefer that there would be some more bumpers around the scoops. That way the scoops the ball gets more directed towards the scoops. There we go. Multiball ready, but when you're in multiball, I bet you can't start any of the other game modes. So any benefit of having multiball probably doesn't help.
Have a nice day.
I was supposed to hold on to the multiball, the missile, but I decided to use it to refresh the super jackpot.
I'll be back.
Just because that would have been score-wise the smarter move. A slightly higher score, but still not getting anywhere close to that mission. And see, at this rate, it feels like I'm gonna play like one more game and still not have played long enough to luck into the Find Bennett mission. Like, there's nothing that a nudge would do to adjust the ball to the mission you're looking for. Yeah, while it may often seem like in pinball you don't have a lot of control as to what is happening, most good pinball tables you do have near complete control as far as what's happening, at least in the electronic components, maybe not in the physical. Is this ball going to actually make it up the ramp way? So when you are put under the mercy of a randomizer or a cycle that cycles only when you can hit the random number of pop-up bumpers or the random number of spinner spins, I think what I need to do is probably trap the ball.
Let's play chicken.
And see, I had the Find Bennett mode lit, and I did better, and I started lit multiball. So now, it moved it.
Let's play chicken.
Yeah, I hate that the ball gets shot back. That's a terrible feature to have introduced as a cheesy feature, to speed up the ball and shoot it back this direction. There's very few scenarios in which that's going to benefit the player. Even if you are very quick-witted and can bounce the ball back up towards a loop, that extra force shouldn't be necessary anyways. Right. Just get the ball.
be or not to be.
This is so frustrating. We were right there. All I needed to do is sink it in the middle lane shot, and then I could have fired the smart missile and see if that would work.
I'll be back.
It very well wouldn't have worked. Yeah, the angles on this table are just terrible. And like going like this isn't gonna help much. The pitch on this table could probably use some adjustment too. I'm not a big fan of ball savers that only save your ball once, because if the ball does manage to drain twice in 30 seconds, for me at my level of skill, that's not usually my fault. It usually is an indication that the table itself is designed poorly. This is really just terrible noise. I would much prefer to just be listening to music and much quieter audio. And you don't have custom audio settings per table, so I can't come into this specific table and say turn down the music, but turn up the sound effects, or vice versa. I have to go into this menu. Let's see, just turn that all the way down, and then turn that down to about 10%. And let's see what the game sounds like then. You know what? Actually, I think it's the other way around would be better. Yeah. Yeah, on second thought, it is definitely the other way around that I'd like the audio to work. So we'll wait till this ball drains, and then I'll change it the other direction. It's actually fairly difficult to not end up at the top crane. As a gimmick, it's not a terrible gimmick. I don't know if it fully screams Last Action Hero, but I think it works. This is a table that if somebody offered it to me, I'd have to think really hard about taking it even for free. Well, I'd definitely take it if it was for free. I'd take any pinball table if it was free, but there's not a lot of relevancy and not a lot of memory to this as far as the game is concerned. So I would probably, if I were to get a table like this, I'd probably want to do a conversion kit on it and skin it to something more generic, something more interesting. I don't know if that really changes too much, because the table itself still would play pretty terribly with the angles, but if you're going to put a conversion kit on it, then you could also probably do some tweaks. At the very least, reduce the pitch, increase the number of balls.
Next one on good. Here's another explosion for your movie kid.
There is a table called Junkyard that you could theme similar to this using a crane. But yeah, you can see whenever I'm just sighing and you can tell I'm not really enjoying the experience of the table much.
Here's another explosion for your movie, kid.
Then we're back to multiball. We'll do it again. And obviously I'm not doing particularly well on this table either because I have yet to even get a single high score. Just all three balls drain out at the exact same time.
I'll be back.
Extra balls lit. Which I guess that's good, but that's not really what I'm trying to hit. Oh, I was gonna switch the audio. I forgot about that. Well, we'll do that next time the ball drains, if I remember. Yeah, some of these ramps, I am hitting them fairly well. I kind of wish they were rewarding better. You know, random rewards, mystery rewards, or starting new sections.
Here's another explosion for your movie, kid.
Yep. By 2021 standards, having a red-haired, bearded bad guy that has a fake eye with all kinds of weird pictures on his fake eye might be considered unacceptable, like disability shaming, but probably not. I think you could easily have that trope of a bad guy missing an eye.
I'll be back.
Alright, well, we're now in ball control operator mode. Let's see if there's something in operator mode that we could change. There's all kinds of tests here, but I'm not seeing any adjustments. I just not figured out how to use the operator mode. Right. Before we do that, let's once again change the audio.
I'll be back. I'll be.
Turn that up, and then we'll turn this back up, and we'll see how this goes. So basically no sound effects, and the music goes quiet. So that doesn't really work either. Yeah, the music does seem to just get quieter at specific points. I'll never be able to hit the captive ball. Not consistently enough that I could start a multi-ball, so, and I don't want to start a multi-ball, so. And the slingshots seem to be non-existent on this table. I guess that's probably been the case for a lot of tables where you have to hit it fairly hard to get the slingshot to actually work. Let's see. Yeah, this audio is just like totally messed up. It is just jumping in and out, in and out, in and out. I knew there was something wonky with it. So it says hit either captive ball, which can we hit the captive ball enough with enough force to do that? Probably not. Yeah, I just feel like what you've created with the audio on this table is such a high emphasis on playing Arnold Schwarzenegger's lines that the second you turn his lines off and all the other sound effects off, you realize that there's basically just this kind of awful guitar rip. So we've got like 2 balls locked. But if I go here, that's not lit. So what am I supposed to be aiming for to be able to start a mission? Do I have to hit one of these standing targets? No. Am I supposed to spell crane again? No. So what loop is it that I'm missing? You see that was blinking for a second, but I don't think that was to start a new level. Do I have to hit the spinner? No, there's a sneak in drop down there. Now last was blinking for a second. So if you can barely even get it cheating here. So if you hit the sneak in there, that blinks last, which I have no idea what I'm supposed to be hitting. Like there's one standing target there. I mean, and it's no wonder it's so hard to start a mission when everything I can try to even hit on this table seems to not actually work. Smart missile deactivated. Thought that was saying smart missile detected. Alright, well, first of all, I am not gonna stand by listening to the music like that because that's awful anymore. Then I guess I'm just gonna try and play.
I'll be back. I just shot somebody. I did it on purpose.
Yeah, I just have no clue, like absolutely no clue at all as to how you start a mission on this table. You hit that, and then you have a few seconds. I guess that started it blinking. That started the chicken mode or something. Now we're at Multiball. Yeah, maybe I just needed to have the ball hit the chicken mode one more time. But even doing the chicken mode actually isn't super useful because that didn't start an actual thing I was trying to start. So just the goal around this table is broken. It's borked. Not well thought through at all. Very similarly to having a magnet in the middle of your table that just screws with your shots for no benefit to the player whatsoever. At least when Black Knight had magnets, the magnet save was there to be used to save the game for you. And that's been the case any other time we've seen magnets used. And often we've seen magnets used in a very subtle way just to pick up balls and move them around, not to do crazy things. I frankly would prefer a spinner on the table than a magnet. Then at least I could see that the spinner is spinning and know when it's active and not active. I'd really hoped that both this table and the next table were actually really good, because this hasn't been particularly the best selection of the last 7 tables or so. So I was hoping to go out with a bang, and nope, not going to be the case here.
Let's play chicken.
LFS. I don't know what that stands for. One of the things they could have improved certainly is the spinner in the center could have been angled a little bit better so that the ball would get to the top of the pinballs, pop-up bumpers, and bounce around, or be much higher likely to bounce around more than a couple of times. That's one way you could have created some guaranteed action.
Here's another explosion for you movie kids.
See, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be aiming for when we're in these modes. It all kind of seems like it's just the same 2 left ramps.
Next one out, good.
Extra ball is lit. even if I get this done, I cheated on this game, so it wouldn't even matter. But cheating, I got 315 high score,
I'll be back.
which barely even got me to the lowest score possible. Yeah. As it stands, I think it may take me 2-3 hours more to try and get this before I could even see the wizard goals, and I just don't like this table. I absolutely don't like it. And if we look overall, all time, we're at some major cheaters, 999, and that's just 9 billion, so that seems like there's a maximum that happens to this, and then when you start getting down, you're getting down to 2 billion and 1 billion, which seems reasonable if somebody were to put in the time and play a really good game. Weekly speaking, we're at just 992 million, with my score probably being somewhere in the 60s or so. Let's see. 74 of how many playing this early morning Wednesday. I'm surprised it's even up to 150. Yeah, 300 people maybe played this table this week. And I guess that just highlights the bully power of Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is also a Stern table. Monthly wise, though, this, on the 7th day of the month, I'm at 121, which is quite a high score to have for a table you don't like at all. Let's see. And what other Stern tables have we even seen? Because I don't think we've seen too many. Let's see. We haven't seen that one yet. Not that one. Not that one. Phantom of the Opera is the only other table that we have seen so far from Stern, as far as the curation. Does that mean Last Action Hero was their second table they ever made? No, it means that even of the curation of Stern tables, those were the best, which is to say, not great. We'll want to come back and look at Last Action Hero in comparison to Junkyard later on when we get down there. But yeah, there really is no comparison otherwise. That's just not good angles, not good layout, terrible audio, which we also had some pretty terrible audio on Phantom of the Opera in the music choice, but I feel like the audio sounded better in Phantom of the Opera. Well, Pistol Poker is the next table we'll play, and fingers crossed maybe that will be the one that saves this row, because otherwise you have Judge Dredd, which I kind of like, and Getaway High Speed 2 that I loved, and I might have to reevaluate if I actually am turning softer and sweeter on the Doctor Who table, just out of comparison. 93 is not really lining up to be a great year. That being said, Star Trek Next Generation, Twilight Zone, right around the corner. That's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.